back to the channel. Today we're going to have a quick look at the latest wedge shaft from Breakthrough Golf Technology, or BGT. It's called the ZNE Zone Wedge Shaft. Now most of you will be, or would have come across some of the very popular putter shafts that were the first line of their series that they brought out a few years ago now. It's a two-piece construction with a graphite section at the top, and then you could just put it into any section at the bottom, and therefore it will work with any putter. So they've developed this really stiff graphite section in various models, and they've carried it through into a wedge shaft. Now, prior to the wedge shaft, they brought out a driver shaft, which we did a review on not long ago, the Brava, which is that one. So they're targeting those important clubs in the bag. Firstly the putter, then the driver, now the wedges. So this one here, come and have a quick look at these shafts. They come in, there's three weights. We've got a 130, a 115 and a 90. And I'll pick one of these. I'll pick up the 90 and we'll take a sneaky quick look at it. So they come assembled like such in the two pieces. In the 90, there's a graphite tip section here. It's actually graphite compared to, say, the 115 or the 130 here. The 130, 115, they've got a steel section at the end. So it's basically a two-piece shaft. There's two pieces with a coupler, and this coupler here, this aluminium coupler here, we've got this coupling here that will join your tip section and then the graphite butt section. That's the stiffness. This is the stiffest area through here. It's designed to be really, really stiff through this section here. So it's got quite a wide butt section, 610, similar to the KBS 610 shaft. A little bit wider in the butt, and then an optimized tip section. Now I've got one made up in a 115 in my RM4 wedge that I'll hit some shots today for. I've gone for the 115 because I was playing a Fujikura 115 gram graphite anyway, so this is the same weight. It should be quite familiar for me. Now the CPM of these shafts, of this 115, they're saying it's 500, which CPM, I've done a video on this as well. CPM is a butt CPM basically, so it'll clamp the shaft at the butt and then you give it a little bit of a tweak and it'll tell you how many times that shaft oscillates. But it is a butt stiffness, so it doesn't really give you a whole picture of the shaft. The literature says that this is extremely stiff. And so I thought, well, that would be interesting because with a 60-degree wedge, I'm kind of looking for something a bit softer, maybe a little bit more spin, not necessarily something really stiff. So I have used it out on course. I'm going to hit some shots here. I'm going to compare it to the KBS 115 High Rev. And we'll hit a few shots from about 60 meters and have a look at the results. The ZNE, or for you guys in North America, the ZNE. My first impression, it actually feels, I can feel flex in it. So, possibly that's the tip section. But I've got a little par 3 here, 60 meters, and I'll hit a few shots. Test ball today is Pro V1 X, sorry, I should say Pro V1 X. It felt pretty good. Like I say, I have used this out on the course. And my experience with it, And that's what I'm feeling now. It's actually got, that was hit really well. It's actually got, it's got some flex in it. So while it says it's 500 CPM, and I don't doubt that that's correct, that one was a little high on the face. I got that a little chunky. To me, it feels soft. You see how high that come up on the face. Not a great shot. Good result. That one will have a fair bit of spin, I would say. It's down the bottom, so the face contact there, the last two have been quite poor, to be fair. It's a little at the bottom again. I mean, for hitting it all over the face at the minute, the results are very good, to be fair. It's a little high on the face, try not to hit it low on the face. It's a little toe strike. So all in all, this is feeling, it's actually feeling quite soft. I can feel it kick. I can feel it certainly flex. And maybe, you know, I'm quite sensitive to the tip flex more than anything. The butt does feel a little wider than what I'm accustomed to. That one's hit pretty good. Maybe a little toe side. Not really. Pretty close to the centre. We'll go one more. That'll be a little low on the face with plenty of spin on it. But all in all, they're good shots. It feels good. Yeah, just a smidge low on that one. I'll flick it over to the High Rev. I've got the same head, another 14, 60-degree S grind. That's what's been in my bag. The 1460 in the S. So this is now KBS High Rev in a 115. So it is technically a regular. But I thought this would be a pretty good comparison to run between the two. It's an interesting difference. Again, a little low on the face, quite low. And then the compensation, a little high. Just trying to get a gauge of feel. This has a distinct, not as distinct a kick, to be fair. If anything, the High Rev feels, even in a regular, feels a little bit firmer. Just more, you don't feel that little kick. And so, I've seen some discussion about this, about the BGT and how it feels stiff, but it feels the exact opposite to me. And this is a regular. It's quite a common weight, 115 grams in a wedge shaft. But this doesn't feel like it's flexing as much. We'll see what the numbers stack up to be. That's a pretty bad swing. I shut that down. We'll hit one more. See if I can get a nice shot in here. Hit that pretty nicely. Might be a bit long, yeah. All right, let's crunch some numbers. Okay, so looking purely at numbers here, they're both, very similar ball speeds. The BGT ZNE was a little bit more consistent in its ball speed. Very similar, might as well be the same launch angle. And, a smidge less spin on the ZNE, but I have compared it to a higher spinning wedge shaft. So, they're both very similar in comparison. Identical carries for very similar totals again. So not much of a difference actually between those two. Even the flight you can see on the left there, almost, you're splitting hairs. What you can see though on the right is the consistency. I was far better with consistency with the ZNE. The High Rev I hit one or two short and one or two long. That the ZNE was much better as far as that consistency is concerned there. Having a look at the club data, very, very similar strike points, both probably all over the face and then come in for a similar average. The efficiency was exactly the same. The club head speeds were very, very similar. Dynamic loft presented. Dynamic loft presented was a little bit more with the ZNE. Similar sort of paths, the same sort of attack. So not a lot of difference statistically there. So you can see there's hardly any difference other than dispersion was way better. And it is only a handful of shots, but this shaft has gone into my bag. I built this up for myself to use after playing with it a little bit on the golf course. I mean, I can feel that flexing. I can feel the flex here. If I give it the old, bit of this happening, there's plenty of flex through here, through this tip section. This is stiff, but there's plenty of flex through here. And I kind of like that. Like if I want to hit just a little chip shot, and this is going to throw these numbers way out, but if I just want to hit just a little chip shot, I get plenty of I just get plenty of feel from it. I love the feel. I love that because it's got that flex, in the tip section, I actually feel like I can, if I get in front of this nicely for this pitch shot, I feel like that little tip stiffness, it's not stiff, the little tip softness, right? So if I try and get in front of this a little bit, like I can feel that flexing, right? Hit a half decent shot there. But I can definitely tell, I feel like I can get the launch angle down because of the flex, right? So, I try to keep that one down, just bring the flight down. And what sometimes happens with these shafts, when you've got a little bit of flex here, when you're hitting them, it's going to flex back, potentially reduce some of that dynamic loft for you. Okay, so I'm really enjoying this shaft, to be fair. I've used it, like I say, I've used it on the golf course for a couple of rounds. When you hit those chip shots, it's got a beautiful feeling. Small swings, it's got this great feeling, but in no way at all does it feel stiff. Maybe those, and that's just me, that's a feeling, you can't really quantify feel. And maybe the butt section is ultra stiff, and that's where, quite often we get our feel from, is from the butt section. But certainly, you know, in my experience on the golf course, hitting those little, you know, those little tiny shots, the softness in the tip is what feels fabulous to me. You know, I get that really wonderful feeling through the tip section, and I think, you know, I think they're on a winner here. The only little worry, it's not a worry, but the only little thing you could potentially consider is when you go to hit a full shot. So if I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit this one harder, you know, like I don't love hitting a hard 60, but it's very straight. It's going to come backwards. It's going to produce a ton of spin. You know, nearly 10,000, carried at 72. But that launch angle, if you have a quick look back on the screen, it's 34 degrees. I do find, and I have found, that on a full shot, you know, on a full swing, it does want to kick up a little bit. It does want to kick up, so I'll hit another one. And I felt that dead set flexing. So we'll have a look at the launch angle there. It's starting to rain outside, it's getting a bit noisy in here. The launch angle there on that fuller shot, it's 33. That's not too bad, it's a little on the high side, but all in all, I think it's a great shaft. It is, you know, it's a premium price. We've got them online. We've got them in the online store as we speak. I think $325. But certainly for that, you know, for that lofted wedge, for the 60-degree wedge or a 58 or whatever you use for those small shots, I think it's a real winner.